Okay, I am starting a new build for myself. This was a reject frame that I have kind of managed to get back into shape, and I started filing down the inner deck surfaces and cleaned up the kind of the tooling damage and given it somewhat of a shape here to start moving forward. But this was trying out my new bender, which is this guy here. Learning how it works and the angles and stuff, and yeah, so this was the first attempt, and I'm gonna excuse me, I'm gonna make this into a harp. I'm gonna make it tailless this time. I don't think I've made any tailless harps, and why not? So we'll see. This is the start of it. So my next move is I'm gonna start to so as I said, I've filed it down, so I've got a nice sharp edge on the inside. You can see what the original edges were like. Very blunted, as you can see. And then I have sharpened it with my file. With this file. My axe file. So essentially, these are axe points. And I am going to pinch it in the vise and reshape it and get it so that the taper is starting to approach the reed. Here we go. Okay, sorry about the fan. I just realized that was probably pretty loud, so here we go. All I'm gonna do is kind of get this roughly lined up. Obviously it has to come in quite a ways. So let's just see how this kind of bends. What I do is to protect the surface here, I've got a piece of aluminum that I'll kind of come clamping down on. Oh, so it kind of went crooked, as you can see. So I'll be bending that, but we are somewhere. All right, let's get this bent into shape. Just tighten her up a little bit more. Okay. And these pliers I modified myself to fit the square key stock that I use for my frames. Sorry about that, my daughter is super bored and looking for ice cream. Okay, yeah. Here we go. A little bit straighter now. Getting a bit closer. And I think what I'll do is I'll probably just keep on bending it by hand here. Yeah, and I start to line up one side as a reference, and I start getting the other arm ready to follow the same taper. I'm also getting close to the point where I'm going to finish the ends off here, so maybe I'll do that first before I get too out of control with this taper. But every little bit that you can get close and keep things aligned is very helpful in the end. So yeah, that's not bad. All right, we'll go from there. All right, so I have now lobbed the ends off with a hacksaw so that the shape of the frame is a little bit more even. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this guy that I pinch in the vise set up right here, and I'm just going to buzz the end, which I'm not going to film because it's loud. It does have cool sparks, but no, it's loud, and I don't feel like dealing with the editing of making it not so obnoxiously loud in the end video. So just imagine it. See you in a bit. Okay, so I have given the tips of the arms kind of the rough shape with the grinding wheel. As you can see, ugly, sharp burrs, very rough, ugly looking finish to it. And that's where the old axe file comes in again. It leaves a very nice finish on these surfaces. So we will file. I'm also going to do a little bit more alignment of the taper, because this one arm here is just a bit off. Try to center everything as best I can, but hey, they're handmade. Do what I can. They all come out one of a kind. Sometimes they're a little bit lopsided, asymmetrical, wonky, whatever you want to say. That's the beauty of it. Okay, and there we go. Rough shape to the frame. Got her nice and close to the taper. The next steps are to clean this up with the file. Clean up whatever else I can from tooling at this point, from making the alignments, and I can then start working the reed to get my final dimensions for where I want to seat it, and then make the reed channel. We'll go from there. Okay, are we ready for a good ramble? Let's go for a good ramble. It is time to clean up the end here. Got my file. Oh. And I'm then going to put the texture I like to put on the embouchure area or the front side of the harp with this file right here. So, set up for the ramble. Quiet, hot, humid Sunday afternoon. Here we go. Can we see this? There we go. Okay, there we go. All right, all right. That's it. I'll smooth off the burrs, those are the uncomfortable bits. You want this metal to be nice and smooth. You don't want metal filings coming off. You just want it to be nice to touch as well. So yeah, I have kind of a sequence of the way I like to do the finishing, filing things down, sanding, grinding, that sort of thing, lining up, shaping. Eventually you start to get a pattern, and it's been getting quicker and quicker at making these. And I think my craftsmanship has been improving as well. Hopefully I'm getting centered on the screen here. Can't tell. So, starting to get there on the ends. But I gotta get these sides a lot more. It's much smoother taper on the side, and just get all the roughness off. Usually I like to do this with music, but I don't want to risk copyright infringement again, which has happened. It's actually happened with my own band's music, which is pretty wild, but whatever. We do have a couple albums on Spotify, so I suppose the algorithm and AI plagiarism detection robots are doing their thing. Getting there. We finished off the ramble by actually finishing off the filing? Or have you seen enough? we're getting close. Just about there. See, the shape is smoothening out, but there's still some tooling marks from the grinder that I want to get out. This side too. Use the grinder to get the rough shape, and then you use a combination of files and sandpaper and that sort of thing to get the final finish that you want. Smooth out the details, get curves nice and gradual and oh no, oh god. Okay, so now I'm gonna have to fix the inner. It's okay, very, very minor. I'm gonna have to just clean that up a little bit. The edge went on the inside, got the sharp inner deck edge. Not what I want. I have to clean that up. Let's finish this first. Very close. Can't believe I did that. It happens every now and then. Just clean up the front sides. Okay, I think that's pretty good. Clean up the inner deck. So I have this little vise that I made in high school that allows me to put this in here without putting teeth marks in the steel. Can you see what I'm doing? Okay, good. What I found makes for filing the, I don't know what you call it, the plane of vibration. I don't know where the reed lines up with the frame. I found that this makes it nice to hold and get a good angle so I can make a nice smooth flat surface with the file. A lot of patience, a lot of filing. Sometimes I have to freshen up the surfaces anyway if the steel is sat for too long, if I don't get around to working on a harp because I work late or something like that during the week. Because I do this in my free time, believe it or not. Sometimes I get a little bit of rusting happening, or if I know I want to put this in the oven, I want to make sure I get right down to nice fresh bare metal. So I take a file, take the sandpaper, and just freshen things up a bit. Okay, not quite. We'll try to keep this video to as minimal edits as possible, but not super long. So I'm not going to show, really everything. But I think once I start filming, I'm going to leave a lot of the in-between stuff for the rambles, you know? Do you like the rambles? I know watching Jamie Bebb's videos from the Harpery, I like the rambles. I think a lot of other people do too. Come on. Oh. Oh yeah, we're just about there. Try the other side for a bit now. kind of like looking for imperfections in an ice skate, on the blade of an ice skate, and knowing when to sharpen it. That's kind of what I'm looking for here. As I get closer and closer, my pressure on this gets a little bit lighter and lighter. Because if you go too hard, sometimes you can really scratch it. If you get a little piece of metal that rolls out and gets caught in the file, you can scrape it right through. Put a big gouge in. You don't want that. Yeah, I think I'm there. Maybe a little bit more. A bit more on this side, I think. I think I want this to be a good mid-rangey harp. I don't know, I'm always aiming for mid-range. Finally got, you know, kind of a recent bassy one, Big Betsy. I haven't really played too much of. Can't remember what I tuned that to, that one too. G. Reptile is untuned around C sharp, I believe. Zelda is D. I have a prototype harp that is inward only. That is a good C. I made a really nice surge for a friend of mine. Tuned to C. Could use a good, fast, big C, I think, maybe. We'll see. Like I say, oh yeah, okay, I'm getting there. Like I said, I'm going to make this one tailless. Just because. I don't know why. All right, yep, that's it. Just take a little bit burr off this side. Again. Oops. Not hard to see, I guess. There. Here's a bit of a twist in the frame there, which is I guess why I can't get that angle, but yeah. All right, anyway, that's enough of that. All right, I almost got a little bit ahead of myself here. So I've finished the texturing of the arms. It shows up. It was kind of a diagonal striation pattern. Anyway, and then I've cleaned up the reed a little bit with some sandpaper. Not all the way yet, but what I'm going to do is this one I'm going to double edge. So that's why I've marked off that blue area. So it is ready to basically fit like that. And I'm going to take each side. So let's see how this works out. I have no idea why I just stopped that there, so sorry about that. Let's do this. damn, getting eaten alive out here. All right, so I don't normally do the double edge, but I have in this case because I'm trying something new with this harp. Pretty different anyway. Come on, you're gonna focus? Maybe not. 1 second. The focus is off again, of course. Anyway, you can see I've much more like a knife blade. And the next step is going to be honing it on this sharpening stone, whetstone. I'll just take it like this. And we'll get into that soon, but mosquitoes are way too bad for tonight. Adios for now. Totally forgot I was filming this build here, but what I've done is I've gone ahead and I actually went and shaped the reed. So it's hard to see, but I've ground each side so it's like a knife point on both sides. And then I've honed it on my whetstone there and sanded it down to 1000 grit. And then I carved the reed channel out. I have a mark there, you can see it's kind of worn down, but doing rough alignments. And so all that bending and smashing has, of course, chewed up the metal. And what I am doing now is refinishing everywhere so that one, all the tool marks are gone, and two, I'm going to put it in the oven and hopefully give it a nice blue color. So by freshening up the metal, by shining up the metal, it takes that oxide layer off and it should make the blue color come through more evenly, more vibrant across the steel, because the blue itself becomes the oxide layer. Let's see how it goes. Okay, now that the frame has been stripped back down to bare metal, the next move was to put it in this 99% isopropanol alcohol bath. And so what that does is cleans off any of the oils or dirt and anything from making it, just including from my fingers. So I'm going to use my pliers, set the oven for 530 degrees Fahrenheit. I have a gas oven, so I don't know if too many other people out there can go that high on this, but mine I can. And I use the pliers, put it in, trying to be careful not to let it fall between the slats, but here we go. I will let it go for an hour and we'll come back and see what shade of blue she comes out to be. I almost forgot about it. It took a while for it to cool down. And here we go. Came out a real cool purplish blue color. I am happy with that. It'll change a little bit as it gets handled and oiled up, but very cool. Try to finish this tomorrow. Look at this color. I hope I can finish this tonight before I go camping. Otherwise it's gonna have to wait all weekend. Okay, it is crimp time, I think. I've trimmed the tail down a little bit so I don't have to grind or sand too much off. And I'm gonna crimp it. I'm gonna trim this down probably a little bit too. So, here's what I do. Got my hammer here. Got my punch. And we're just gonna go right ahead for it. start off with a couple on each side first, just to see where we're at, how much aligning I have to do first. Okay. Now I'm not overly worried about chewing up the material at this point, so I always file the front side of it down again afterwards. But I'm going to try not to get much of the edges where I want to keep the color. Flip this around. Hoping to get this done before our camping trip tomorrow, so I can bring it with me. All right, it's a little bit more aligned. Now we got to get the horizontal plane going. Bring the gaps in too. And this can sometimes be a very lengthy process. My wife should be home any minute. Got most of the things for today, and my dog's barking. So I think we'll just leave it at that for now, and we'll check back in a little while. Okay, I'm starting to get pretty excited here. So I have crimped the reed, aligned the gaps. It's pretty tight. It's not super perfect, but they're pretty tight. And trimmed the trigger down, so I'm going to bend it, but this is my first tailless one that I've done since I first started making harps. I think I made a couple of prototypes when I very first started making them, not even playable harps. Anyway, so I need to clean up a bit of the tooling on here, bend the trigger, but I'm getting excited because just listen to this. Not even bent trigger yet. I don't know how focused that was there. Hold on. Okay, so I'm gonna give her a bit of a file. And this is all, I'm taking this camping with me this weekend. I am looking forward to this. All right, so this is my secret. Allows me to put it in the vise, not worry too much about damaging it. And then when I file it out, it gives it a cool highlight, I think. And I do try to be careful to make sure I'm not putting too much stress in any one direction on the frame or anything. But yeah, you know, this one wasn't perfect. Bit of a wobble in it, so you can see that it's missing right there when I file it down. So it'll look pretty straight once I'm done. But patience. I used to use the rough, coarse side, but I just find it's just easier to be a little more patient, use the nice smooth edge. It just makes a better finish in the end. I just have a really good feeling about this one. Ooh, just as I said that, eh? Nice. She's okay. Good strong crimp. My crimps have been getting a lot better. It's not taking nearly as many hits, which is good, because then it doesn't open the frame back up. It's really frustrating. And they've been quite tight, so just after a couple of hits. And that's what we want. All right, so it's gonna be a bunch of this for a while. So I'm gonna do that, and I will check back in when it's time to bend the trigger. All right, here it is. Now what I'm gonna do is bend the trigger. And what I like to do is bend the trigger so that I strike it in this direction, and the flat face of the reed channel is on this side of the harp in the direction I'm striking it in, because I like to play outwards. Got moral support here, and we're packing for camping. So, like I said, I want to get this done. And we got mosquitoes in here. Okay, so okay, that's enough. Hold on, we'll be right back. Okay, this is generally the most exciting part. Bending the trigger. Sometimes it goes well, sometimes not according to plan. Let's see what happens. Usually fixable. In fact, I haven't totally rejected a harp yet, I don't think. Hey. Pretty straight, actually. A little bit closer than I was aiming for, but it's probably perfect. Okay, let's try. I like the teardrop shape. I think I might go for that. We'll see. Let's see how this shapes up. Yep, I think so. This looks like a pretty good trigger. I think I'm happy with this. Let it cool, see what note it comes to, and then I will go in and start tuning it. Always keep your workstation clean, I think. Okay. Still probably pretty hot, but what's going on here? Come on, focus. There we go. So I'm gonna clean it up, polish it, sand it, file it, that sort of thing, and possibly give it a bit of a taper to tune it to whatever note I intend to bring it to, which I have no idea yet. I was kind of going for something mid to high range, so it's going to need a name too. Right now I'm thinking kind of the Blue Bastard. I love the purple blue gradient. You know what? It's still pretty warm. It just came out screaming like that. You witnessed the birth of a jaw harp in real time. I am going to figure out the tuning. I want this one tuned. Check back in. You magnificent blue bastard. Okay, so it was sitting around a G sharp, and I was able to bring it up to just under A. And what I've been doing is I put a bit of a taper on the reed by sanding it down on my belt sander a little bit at a time. Now, I'm not going to show this process because my tuner is on my phone and it's also kind of loud and whatever. And I did make another video recently that showed that. So I'm aiming for A1 because I just checked my collection and I don't have one yet. That is A1. It's a little bassier than I was going for, but that's fine. I actually really like the sound of it, and I think it's going to be good. So let's go. I'll check back in a little bit. So just to show you the point I'm at 1,000 grit sandpaper, and I don't want to try and block the camera here, and just basically taking the littlest bit off, just really polishing it. I basically have it right on A1. I like to go 1 to 2 cents, just a little higher, because when I put coconut oil on it, it does add a little tiny bit of weight to it, and I don't know, I just always feel like the Harp relaxes a little bit and goes down. So let's check it out. Gotta go. Okay, so she is tuned to right where I want her, and I've given her a good cleaning with isopropanol and a nice towel, and it's time to get it coated with coconut oil. So this will change the color a little bit, but I'm okay with that. It'll, I don't know, probably wear away a bit, but yeah, this is better to protect against rust. Some people don't prefer coconut oil, and I believe in humid environments it may end up actually molding over on your harp, so you don't want that. So there are alternatives. Chapstick is another option, but I give it just a good wipe down, make sure everything's kind of shiny, lubricated, paying special attention to the little nooks and crannies of your trigger. And I'm actually going to need to get a little bit more oil on this soon, but there's enough. And I just like to make it totally coated. Make sure I've covered all my bases. And then just make sure I got everywhere. Take this rag, give it a bit of a wipe down, because it doesn't need to be dripping. And you don't need to rub the oil completely off of it either. So I just take kind of a little bit of the excess off. And usually I fold this towel up and I ship it with the Harp as a bit of extra packaging. But this one's mine. Okay. Hooting anytime. Here we go. Hopefully I don't have a kid barge in through the garage door. Very likely. But they're busy playing with Jasper at the moment, so we'll see. We'll see. Hooting anytime. A1. Blue Bastard. Okay, I want to see how good she is with muting. Oh, I am going to have some fun with this harp. I am happy I got this made in time for camping. Adios.